Have you ever wondered, what if the key to fixing your chaotic love life, your overwhelming anxiety, and your constant dissatisfaction with the world was written nearly 2,000 years ago? Not in some self-help book or New Age podcast, but by a man who ruled an empire, led armies, buried children, and still remained calm, still remained good. Before we dive in, do me a favor. If you're someone searching for meaning, for balance, or just trying to figure out how to love and live without losing yourself, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and most importantly, watch until the end. Because what you're about to hear won't just inform you, someone might just transform you. Let's begin. The man who solved the universe. Rome, 180 AD. The world was burning at the edges. The empire stretched from the sand dunes of Egypt to the forests of Britain. War was constant. Plague swept through cities. Political betrayals and assassination. Plots lurked behind every whisper in the Senate. And at the center of this chaos stood one man, Marcus Aurelius. He was not just an emperor. He was not just a warrior. He was not even just a philosopher. He was a man who stared into the void of existence and made peace with it. But Marcus wasn't born wise, nor was he raised in serenity. No, Marcus was trained for chaos. Adopted into the imperial family at a young age, he was thrown into a world of politics, power, and expectations. As a teenager, he studied under tutors who introduced him to one particular way of thinking, a philosophy that would become the anchor of his life: Stoicism. But let me ask you something. Have you ever felt pulled in two directions? The pressure to succeed and the longing to simply be at peace? Marcus lived in that tension, and instead of being crushed by it, he turned it into clarity. The foundation of Stoicism. Stoicism wasn't about emotionlessness, though it's often misunderstood that way. It was about alignment between what you can control and what you cannot. And Marcus, he clung to this truth like a man clings to a raft in a storm. In his private journal, now known as Meditations, he wrote not for history, not for fame, but for himself. Imagine this, the most powerful man in the world, scribbling reminders to himself like, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Or, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." He wasn't writing a motivational Instagram quote. He was writing these words at war, with plague, with grief, with death all around him. He lost children. He lost friends. He lost health. But he never lost himself. Why? Because he understood this. You do not control the world, but you do control how you meet it. A lesson in love and loss. Let's talk about love for a moment, because here's where Marcus becomes even more relevant to you and me. Marcus was married to a woman named Faustina. History has painted her in various lights, some harsh, some kind. But here's the truth. They had 13 children. Only 5 would survive. Can you imagine burying child after child, holding your weeping wife, feeling powerless? Most people would crumble. They would become bitter, cold, detached. But Marcus? He turned inward, not in escape, but in examination. He wrote, "Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about others. Instead, be concerned only with how you may best live your life according to nature." He did not close his heart, and he disciplined it. He loved deeply, but without clinging. He mourned, but without despair. That's the Stoic way. And in today's world, where love is often possession, where relationships are built on ego and expectation, Marcus offers a radical alternative. Love as service. Love as acceptance. Love without needing control. The modern chaos mirror. Think about your own life right now. How much of your suffering comes from trying to control things and or people that you simply can't? That guy who ghosted you, that friend who betrayed you, that dream job that slipped away, that argument with your partner that keeps looping in your head. Now, what if you looked at all of that the way Marcus did? What if you asked not, "Why is this happening to me?" but rather, "What am I being called to learn here?" What if you stopped demanding the universe be different and started mastering your response to it? That's not weakness. That's power. That's how Marcus solved the universe, not by changing it, but by understanding it. Power, fame, and the illusion of control. Let's not forget, Marcus wasn't a monk in a cave. He was the emperor of Rome. He could have had anything: pleasure, wealth, endless distractions. But again and again he reminded himself, Fame is a vapor. Popularity an accident, riches take wings, and only character endures. He didn't just say this. He lived it. He walked among soldiers. He wrote philosophy in a tent during battles. He forgave enemies when vengeance would have been easier. He practiced what he called the discipline of desire, action, and assent. And here's a practical gem from that. Discipline of desire. Want only what is in your control. Discipline of action. Do only what is right regardless of outcome. Discipline of assent. Accept only what is true. These three principles, they're a toolkit for your life too. Want less, do right. Think clearly. Imagine applying this to your next conflict in a relationship. Instead of trying to win the argument, you seek the truth. Instead of demanding perfection, you accept impermanence. Instead of spiraling in emotion, you ground yourself in what you can do next. That's Marcus. That's the way. Death, perspective, and peace. Let's go even deeper. Marcus was obsessed with death, but not in a morbid way, in a clarifying one. He wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think. This isn't depression. This is direction." Knowing he could die any day made Marcus a better man, a better lover, a better leader. Because when you remember death, you remember what matters. You stop sweating the small stuff. You let go of petty grudges. You realize that this love, this moment, this breath is enough. So here's a question for you. What would change if you lived with that awareness? Would you still be chasing people who don't value you? Would you still be scrolling through life instead of living it? Would you still be afraid to say what you really feel? Marcus wasn't fearless, but he feared the right things. He feared wasting his time. He feared losing his integrity. He feared becoming someone unworthy of his own respect. That is real strength. The eternal conversation. Marcus never meant for meditations to be read by anyone. It was a personal notebook, a conversation with himself. But here we are nearly 2,000 years later, reading his private words. Because they speak to something eternal, he reminds us that truth doesn't age, courage doesn't expire, and wisdom transcends time. He shows us that you can be powerful and kind, disciplined and loving, grounded and passionate. You can live with heartbreak, setbacks, even betrayal, and still be whole. You don't have to win every battle. You just have to win the one inside you. Bringing it home. So if your world feels like it's falling apart, if love feels more like a battlefield than a sanctuary, if you wake up dreading the day, unsure of who you are or where you're going, remember Marcus, not as a Roman statue in a museum, but as a man flawed, tired, grieving, who looked at the universe and didn't run. He sat with it, understood it, wrote it down, and lived it out. You don't need to become an emperor, but you can become the ruler of your own mind. You can start small, a breath, a thought, a decision, and then repeat. If this resonated with you and if something stirred, don't let it fade. Subscribe, like this video, share it with someone who needs a dose of clarity, and most importantly, rewatch this when life gets messy, because it will. But you don't have to.